When you see Pierce Brosnan as James Bond in GoldenEye, suave and unshakable, you're watching a man who already knew real tragedy. At 72, he's survived storms that would break anyone, and what he's facing now, it's darker than anything Hollywood could write. Born May 16th, 1953, in Drogheda, Ireland. Pierce's father, Thomas, walked away when he was an infant. His mother, May, a nurse, left for London when he was 4 to find work. For 7 years, Pierce drifted between relatives, grandparents, an aunt, and uncle. He learned early to stay quiet, to not get too comfortable anywhere. In 1964, everything shifted. His mother returned with William Carmichael, a gentle stepfather, who taught him to fish and trust again. That year, William took him to see Goldfinger. Watching Sean Connery, Pierce thought, "That's the man I want to be." By 16, Pierce was studying art in London, surviving on toast and tea. Then, in 1971, he wandered into a theater workshop, saw a fire eater, and impulsively asked to try. That moment rewrote his future. He fought his way through Drama Centre London, while half his classmates quit. This wasn't privilege. This was pure hunger from a boy who started with nothing. The break came in 1982. Auditioning for a small role in Remington Steele, they offered him the lead instead. At 29, virtually unknown. The show drew 15 million viewers weekly in over 80 countries. Pierce Brosnan became a household name overnight. Almost immediately, he was called the next James Bond. In 1983, producer Cubby Broccoli said, "If he can act, he's my guy." But Roger Moore returned for one more film. In 1986, it happened again. Remington Steele was canceled, freeing Pierce just as Bond opened. Then NBC unexpectedly revived the show. Contract bound, he watched Timothy Dalton take the role. For 8 years, the lost Bond years, he endured. Then in 1994, the call finally came. GoldenEye became a high-stakes test for a struggling franchise. Pierce delivered. The film earned $353 million, reviving Bond for a new generation. He did his own stunts, including a 220-meter dam bungee jump. 3 more films followed, grossing $1.2 billion combined. But in 2004, at his peak, a 47-second phone call ended it. "You were a great James Bond. Thank you. Goodbye." Producers had secretly auditioned his replacement for 2 years. Film deals vanished. His salary plummeted from $12 million to $3 million. He let go of 12 staff members. His children saw him cry for the first time when the Casino Royale trailer played. While the world saw an action hero, Pierce was fighting something far worse, and it started long before Bond. In 1980, he married Cassandra Harris, an actress with 2 children, Charlotte and Christopher, whom Pierce adopted without hesitation. They had a son, Sean, in 1983. In family photos, his smile showed deep, grounded contentment. Then in 1987, Cassandra was diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer. For 4 brutal years, she endured surgeries and chemotherapy. Sean, just a boy, would appear in a toy doctor's coat, treating his mother with imaginary medicine. Near the end, Cassandra whispered, "Please, darling, don't worry. It's just a life, coming to rest." On December 28, 1991, one day after their 11th anniversary, she passed at 43. Sean was only 8. Pierce moved on autopilot. Funeral arrangements, comforting others, keeping 3 children steady. He didn't cry in front of them, but grief doesn't fade. It roots itself into your life. 22 years later, the same disease returned, not to haunt the past, but to take his daughter. Charlotte was 40 when symptoms appeared. Pierce knew the rhythm too well. For 3 years, she fought while her children, Isabella, 15, and Lucas, 8, watched her fade, just as she'd once watched Cassandra. In June 2013, with cancer advancing, Charlotte put on a white dress and married Alex. It was a final stand, declaring that love would have the last word. 2 weeks later, she was gone. June 28, 2013. The symmetry was unbearable. Charlotte died at 41, Cassandra at 43. Lucas was 8, Sean's age when Cassandra died. Isabella was 15, Charlotte's age when her mother fell ill. At a 2014 Stand Up to Cancer fundraiser, Pierce spoke. I held the hand of my first wife Cassie as ovarian cancer took her life, and last year I held the hand of my daughter Charlotte, before she too died from this wretched, inherited disease. The room went silent. In 1994, Pierce met Keely at a beach party in Cabo San Lucas, a journalist who saw not the icon, but the man carrying silences too heavy to name. She didn't try to erase his grief, she simply stayed. When Charlotte fell ill, Keely became his shield. They married in 2001 and had 2 sons, Dylan and Paris. Pierce said it plainly, "Keely saved me. She gave me the will to keep going." When tabloids attacked Keely's appearance, he defended her fiercely. "I love every curve of her body. She is the most beautiful woman in my eyes." Christopher, Cassandra's son whom Pierce adopted, has struggled with addiction and legal troubles. Pierce admitted, "Christopher is still very lost. He knows how to get out. He doesn't want to." Eventually, to protect himself and his family, Pierce made the hardest choice: to love from a distance. In 2020, Pierce and Keely sold their Malibu estate for $100 million. Now, they split time between Malibu and Kauai. Mornings start with coffee and barefoot beach walks. At 72, he maintains his health with discipline. Fresh produce, morning swims, yoga, painting, which began as therapy during Cassandra's illness, has become his deepest outlet. His abstract works are exhibited and auctioned for charity. As a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, he champions children's rights. With Keely, he supports Greenpeace and ocean conservation. He continues fundraising for cancer awareness in memory of Cassandra and Charlotte. Pierce once said, "Life has to go on, and if it does, you better find something worth living for." Even after losing the people you love most, even after being told you're no longer wanted in the role that defined you, even after watching history repeat its cruelest patterns, love and purpose can still carry you forward. Not because the pain goes away, but because you learn to live alongside it. You find meaning in the wreckage. You build something beautiful from the broken pieces.
GoldenEye became a high-stakes test for a struggling franchise. If it failed, Bond might fade forever. Pierce delivered. The film earned $353 million worldwide and revived the entire series for a new generation. He performed most of his own stunts, including a breathtaking 220-meter dam bungee jump that insurance companies considered too risky to cover. 3 more Bond films followed, grossing a combined $1.2 billion. He became the defining 007 for millions of fans. But in 2004, at the absolute height of his success, it all ended. While filming in the Bahamas, Pierce received a phone call that lasted 47 seconds. "You were a great James Bond. Thank you very much. Goodbye." The line went dead. There was no warning, no detailed explanation. He would later learn that for 2 years, producers had been secretly auditioning his replacement. His final Bond film, Die Another Day, had been the franchise's highest-grossing entry at $431 million. None of it mattered. The fallout was brutal. 3 major film deals vanished almost overnight. Studios started calling him Too Bond. The very role that made him famous now became a prison, locking him out of other opportunities. His salary offers plummeted from $12 million to just $3 million. He was forced to let go of 12 loyal staff members. Years later, his children would recall the first time they saw their father cry, when the trailer for Casino Royale played, showing Daniel Craig as the new Bond. But here's what most people don't know. While the world saw him as this unshakable action hero, Pierce Brosnan was fighting a battle far more devastating than anything on screen. And it started long before he lost the Bond role. But there's another layer to this story that often gets overlooked. Christopher, Cassandra's son whom Pierce adopted and raised as his own, has struggled for years with addiction and legal troubles. In a rare moment of honesty, Pierce admitted, "Christopher is still very lost. I know where he is, but he's having a hard life. He knows how to get out. He doesn't want to." There was no anger in his voice, just the ache of a father who'd run out of ways to rescue someone who didn't yet want to be saved. Eventually, for his own survival and the stability of the rest of the family, Pierce made the hardest choice a parent can make: to step back, not to cut ties or stop loving, but to love from a distance. To lose a child to death is an agony no parent should face, but to lose them to life, while they're still out there somewhere, is its own quiet devastation. So where is Pierce Brosnan now, at 72? Today, his life isn't about box office numbers or red carpets. It's about meaning. In 2020, he and Keeley sold their Malibu estate for a reported $100 million. Now they divide their time between a coastal home in Malibu and their longtime retreat in Kauai, Hawaii. These aren't just houses. They're sanctuaries filled with his paintings, gardens he tends himself, and rooms that echo with family laughter. Mornings often start with coffee on the terrace with Keeley, followed by barefoot walks along the shore. At 72, his health is something he tends to with discipline and gratitude. Fresh produce, seafood, morning swims in the Pacific, long coastal walks, yoga. He's selective about acting roles now, choosing projects that interest him rather than chasing paychecks. But here's what drives him most these days. Painting, which he first turned to during Cassandra's illness as therapy, has become his deepest creative outlet. His abstract works, rich in color and texture, have been exhibited and auctioned for charitable causes. As a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, he champions children's rights and disaster relief. With Keeley, he supports environmental organizations like Greenpeace, advocating for clean oceans and climate justice. And cancer awareness? That's deeply personal. He continues to fundraise, speak publicly, and make private contributions in memory of Cassandra and Charlotte. The absences of his wife and daughter aren't wounds that have healed. They're presences that have changed shape, woven into his life's fabric forever. Here's the truth about Pierce Brosnan at 72. The silver hair, the more deliberate stride, these aren't losses. They're evidence of a life fully lived, fully tested, and still standing. He once summed it up in a way that could serve as the defining statement of his entire journey. Life has to go on, and if it does, you better find something worth living for. For Pierce Brosnan, that something is no longer about escaping danger on screen. It's about confronting real dangers, the ones that threaten our planet, our families, our shared future. It's about ensuring that even the hardest beginnings can lead to hopeful endings.
And perhaps that's the greatest lesson in his story. Even after losing the people you love most, even after being told you're no longer wanted in the role that defined you, even after watching history repeat its cruelest patterns, love and purpose can still carry you forward. Not because the pain goes away, but because you learn to live alongside it. You find meaning in the wreckage. You build something beautiful from the broken pieces. So which chapter of Pierce Brosnan's story speaks most to you? The abandoned boy who became Bond? The man who lost his wife and daughter to the same disease? The husband who defended his partner against the world? Or the 72-year-old who chose meaning over bitterness? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs a reminder that resilience isn't about never falling. It's about choosing to stand back up every single time. Don't forget to subscribe, because we're bringing you more stories of people who faced the unimaginable and found a way forward.